G'day Battlers and welcome to episode 43 of the G'day Battlers podcast. I'm PvP Stephen, joined by the one and only Debbie Pebble, caster of the Brisbane Regional Championships. And so today, I guess that's really what we're going to be talking about. It's all Brisbane all day, baby.
Brisbane.
Yeah, Brisbane, if we want to, assimilate to our official Play Pokemon casters. If I recall the last time they were talking about it on whatever stream it was after the previous season, Brisbane Regionals just took place this last weekend. And as we talked about in the previous episode, which, as much as we titled it about Brisbane, it wasn't really about Brisbane. This is actually about Brisbane.
It will be all about Brisbane.
Brisbane. So... yeah, we'll sort of talk about, I think this is going to be one of those episodes where, like, sometimes we talk a little bit more about, what's going on in the game in terms of, like, what's been happening in the tournaments, who's succeeding, what team succeeded, and there'll be a little bit of that in this episode. I think what it's going to be more so is kind of just rambles about, I guess, some behind-the-scenes content about what went on in the sort of lead up to and after and through the stream, because there was certainly some bits and bobs that are... well, keep things exciting.
Well, exciting's certainly a word.
Yeah.
Chaotic was a kind of the word I chose, but you know.
I tend to bring that with me though. So
this
part of the course.
Yeah, look, what's a stream without some Steve chaotic aura?
Yep, that pretty much sums it up. So if you just wanted to get the confirmation that some Steve chaos occurred, feel free to tune out from now. But I guess we'll start from the beginning. Actually, we should probably mention as well, we're going to be having a Godzilla on, not this episode, but presumably in the next episode, because spoilers, he did win these Brisbane Regional Championships.
Shock horror.
Yes, sorry for those guys who, are watching the G'day Battlers podcast, but aren't plugged in enough to know, like, to get spoilers for the Australian scene, I guess. So if we're the news source that you understand who is winning in Oceania, well, I guess we served our purpose a little bit early. So with that said, let's talk about how things went. And at least for me, the story begins at Newcastle Airport before we even get to the Brisbane Regional Championships.
Why? Why? Why Newcastle Airport, Steve?
So look, I was flying in. The flight was supposed to leave at like 4:20, and I was going to land at 4:40 Brisbane time, which sounds like it was a 20-minute flight. It's an hour 20 with time zone shenanigans because daylight savings sucks. But so the plan was get to the airport, go straight to the venue, get there around 5:30, set up for the stream, make sure that everything's all good and all ready to go for the next day, Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. So I get to Newcastle Airport and, as I walk in, like this guy recognizes, like I'm in a Pokemon shirt. So this guy asks me like, oh, what deck are you running? Because you're just, assuming that I'm a TCG guy. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm a Go guy actually. And he was like, oh, cool. What I didn't realize for about another 30 seconds as he talked about the TCG meta to me is that he thought that I meant I was a Golden Go deck guy.
Oh.
As opposed to a Pokemon Go guy. So, this was this guy's first regional. So anyway, we had a chat for a while. And then from behind me, I hear this, Steve. I turn around. It's Agent Magikarp, the Sydney Regional Champion from 2023, sitting right behind me.
Newcastle local.
Newcastle local. So it's kind of like, oh, hey. I think we were the only two from Newcastle attending for the Go side of things, I'm pretty sure. And I think we're the only two from Newcastle that attend anything, actually. I think we're the only two from Newcastle that have... other than Zoe and Alan. So I think the four of us round out the entire list of Novocastrians that are competing on the Go side of things. But anyway... so we have a chat, whatever, and then our flight eventually gets called. There's a bit of a delay, but, whatever. An extra 20 minutes is fine. I'll still get to the venue on time. Instantly, disaster could have struck because as we're walking towards the line, Agent Magikarp is like, he points behind me and is like, is that your laptop? Now, a key object for the stream, mind you. If we didn't have that laptop, we'd be in a little bit of strife. So... great call straight away. Agent Magikarp saved the stream. So there's savior number one. Now,
Let's just say that's number one.
yeah,
There's a
we
few
started
saviors here.
early. I hadn't even left Newcastle before problems began. And so, we line up and Agent Magikarp's like, oh, yeah, like what, where are you guys sitting? Because it's still like us two and the TCG guy.
Mhm.
And coincidentally, purely coincidentally, me and Agent Magikarp are literally sitting next to each other. Like, I picked my seat. He didn't pick his. He just got, thrown somewhere where there was a single left. And so lo and behold, we're hanging out for the whole flight. I'm just trying to extract as much information out of him in terms of like, what's his read on the meta? How's he feeling going into this tournament? Who's he been practicing with? What does his team look like? What's he thinking?
Mhm.
Which is really helpful, by the way. So shout out
Yeah.
again. That's shout out too for Asian Magikarp. But here comes number 3. Because then we get to Brisbane Airport. Again, the plan is to go straight, grab the luggage, go to the venue, set up the stream.
Mhm.
We're standing in front of the luggage carousel. Agent Magikarp actually doesn't have any luggage. Like, he didn't have any checked baggage.
Mhm.
So I'm watching these bags come out, and they're coming a bit slow. And it's like, okay, I need to go to the loo. I'll pop off, come back. Hopefully it's here by the time. Like, I haven't missed it.
Mhm.
And I get back, and it's like, there's only a few suitcases still going around this carousel. And it doesn't seem like there's any more being added. Mine doesn't seem to be on the carousel. This is odd. What's the deal here? 10 minutes passes. There's no more suitcases being added to this carousel. This is a problem. It's like, I sort of need some stuff out of this suitcase to be able to set up this stream, mind you. And so all of a sudden it's like, ooh, okay, Virgin, what are we doing? And so the Virgin Airlines guy comes up and he's like, hey, you waiting for some baggage? It's like, yeah, what's the deal, huh? Turns out it's sitting in Newcastle. They forgot to put it on the plane. So that's a little bit problematic because then I'm like, ooh, how long is that going to take to remedy? And so they were going to put it on the next Qantas flight. It was going to arrive at around 10 past 6 maybe. And so it's like, okay, that's going to put us behind a little bit. I'm obviously not going to get to the venue by 5:30. If it's going to take it till past 6 before we get the luggage, then it's another half hour, say, to get to the venue. So I'm like, all right, guys, I might be there at 7. At this point, and we can circle back timeline wise, but Debbie's at the venue, Stumpy's at the venue, Fish and a Heater is at the venue that are going to be helping to set up this thing. We'll circle back, I guess. And so I'm like, oh, okay, 7 p.m. That's when I'll get there. Agent Magikarp, and here's shout out number 3. Was like, hey, I'm in no big rush. I'll hang out with you. I'll keep you company. I need to go Reggio. I want to have dinner. I need to check into the hotel, but like, it's cool. I'll hang out. And I very much appreciated that because, helps me from going a little bit more bored just waiting in an airport for not even a flight, just my bag to arrive.
Yeah.
And so they tell us, look, the plane's here now. They're going to unpack all of everyone else's luggage. They'll put all of that on the carousel. Then they'll grab yours and they'll bring it here. I'm like, fine. 6:20 comes. 6:25. Bags haven't arrived. I'm watching this carousel go round and like, all right, we're kind of running out of time here. 6:30 hits. And it's at the point where it's like, okay, the SkyTrain leaves in 5 minutes. If I don't get on that train, I'm not getting to the venue by 8 p.m. where they're going to close it all down. And so Agent Magikarp is like, look, I've got to head. Like, I need to get into Reggio and hotel. So I'm like, thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for saving the stream with the laptop. Good luck. Maybe I'll see you on the train. Unlikely. Another minute passes and the guy comes out with 3 bags. None of them are mine. It's like, oh, no. This is not good. Because if I miss this SkyTrain, the next one doesn't come for another 30 minutes. So it's like, okay. Then 2 more minutes passes. There's like 2 minutes till the SkyTrain. He comes out with my bag. I'm like, that's mine. I grab it. I just sprint. I'm carrying, all of this like stream gear and whatever else. My suit's in the suitcase. Absolute sprint up the ramp. I past the little thing. I think I didn't actually tap on. I bought a ticket, but I don't think I tapped on correctly. So I guess I just dodged onto the train. Leaped onto the train. Door closes behind me. I see Agent Magikarp down the corridor, and it's like, so all that to say, I made it to the venue. just a little bit later than ideal. It wasn't even my fault. It was
It is.
the airline.
It was not your fault, which is yet this energy still hangs around you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it happens. But anyway, so with that said, there was stuff that we were going to do in the meantime while we were setting up from 5:30. I was going to record some interviews with some of the battlers like Ric Flair and Valiant Fish, Fishy Legs, Mikey Morgs. We were going to record some interviews, and so I'm messaging Debbie and like, look, it's on you, man. That's you got to deal with this.
Yeah. So I got handballed this. So I just backtracking. I flew from Perth to Melbourne, then Melbourne to Brisbane because one, I wanted a soy chai latte in from Brunetti in the airport.
Main reason.
Main reason, and an almond croissant because they are amazing. But it was also $300 cheaper to fly that way. And I'm like, you know what? I can treat myself to a soy chai latte. That's fine. And, we've talked about chai lattes in the past on this podcast, so I don't need to go on further about it. But, if Jakobovic is ever back on, believe it, we're going to talk about chai lattes again. Now, so I get there, was meant to be an hour before yourself. So I get on the SkyTrain. And it starts raining, and I'm like, oh gosh, okay, it's pouring in Brisbane. So I'm lugging my luggage to our hotel, and I bump into two people. I bump into Sammy P at the traffic light, and I was like, oh hey. I was like, I'll see you at the venue. I'm like, yep, cool. And then keep walking further, and I bump into Fish on a Heater, which I was like, he's like, oh, like, did you want to start chatting about the stream? I'm like, I need to drop my luggage off. You go to the venue. I'll meet you there later. Because I was at that point traveled so far instead of a hour and a half flight. I've gone from like the long way around of traveling for 6 hours plus at this point. I'm just like, I just need a shower. I just need to drop my bags and check in. So I do all that, grab all the stream gear, and then head to the venue. I meet up with Zanzaid, which thank you, Zanzaid, for the monitor, because I didn't want to carry my monitor all the way from Perth to Brisbane, because it's just one of those things that I think like if there's any form of damage, that's going to be something that will get damaged on the flight over. So thankfully, he had a huge monitor as well. It was great. And HDMI cord. So yeah, thank you, Zan, for that. And walked to the venue, got to the venue, and that's where I was just like, okay, I'll wait for Steve to turn up because he's on his way. He's just a little bit delayed. He told me that his flight got delayed, but he'll be here in a second. Some time goes past, meet other people, say hi to everyone, and it's like, oh, you, because I'm just like waiting for you, so I'm just like ready to go, but like not quite ready to go. So I was like, okay, yep. To a point where you're just like, they don't have my luggage, and at that point I was like, oh, do we have a stream? And at that point I didn't know what to say to people as well, because I was like, what do I do now? Do I just keep going and pretend that something's going to happen, or do I tell the other casters as well? Because at this point Stumpy and Fish didn't know that your baggage wasn't coming, or like we didn't know when it was coming.
I think I messaged you before I messaged the group chat.
Yeah. So I was just like, okay, I'm just going to play it like it is coming. Maybe it'll come later tonight. Maybe it'll come in tomorrow morning. We'll figure it out. We've had worse scenarios before. So I think a couple, community streams under our belt, I was like, okay, all right. So we know how to troubleshoot this. So things that went through my head was like, okay, it's not quite closing time of JB Hi-Fi. Maybe you can go and swing there to grab some items. However, you were like, then message afterwards going, oh, it's coming on the next flight. I'm like, okay, cool. All right, let's get this sorted. So I knew you were going for the interviews, and I was like, okay, well, I need to help with setup. So I dropped everything off at I went up to reception, and I was like, look, Steve's not here, but I'm here. Can we get into the room? And they were just like, oh, Debbie, yeah, you can go in. I'm like, oh. It's like, recognize that one. So I was like, great. So then I could bring in Stumpy, and Fish on a Heater was already in there. He actually got access in early. So he was already up there, and I was like, great, cool. I dropped off my laptop and all other things. I just told Stumpy, I'm like, set this up. It's not too hard. I also had Zan's monitor. I'm just like, look, here are all the chords. Here's everything. I need to go downstairs and actually interview people.
Yep.
So I go downstairs. I've got my DJI Osmo Pocket with me. So I'm like, perfect. I'll use this. I can just like camcord from here, record. It's going to look great. Debbie didn't put an SD card in there because I didn't think I was filming anything this weekend. I was going to purely use the Osmo just as a webcam. If you really want to know, it was actually in my laptop. So this is like, there it is. It's right here. Like
It was in the venue. It was
it was
upstairs.
yeah. I only saw it very much afterwards. And so I was like, okay, I can't use this. Guess I have to use my phone. So hence why all the interviews were very much like me shaky cam with my hand. So the first one with Valiant Vish, and then the second one with Rick. So we got taller as we went along. So we had Vish, then we had Rick, and then I've got Mikey Morgs and Fishy Legs too. And I'm just like, I can't. I can't. My arm isn't that long. And like Go Gadget, like it just I can't go that far. So yeah. Mikey Morg suggested, or was it Fishy Leg suggested, I stand on those leather couches in the convention center so I could get on par with their height. And I'm just like, no, I'm not doing this, man. Also, I didn't want to get told off by security or ESL for like standing on a couch. And then eventually the boys were like, why don't we just sit down?
Yeah.
And then I was like, that's a great idea. So hence in that recording, the boys sat down, and I was like, I'm not going to squeeze in between the boys and just kind of like try and get in the middle or trying to get in the side. I was like, look, I'll just film you guys and I'll just do the audio from my end. Just like an interview kind of question. They don't need to see me. Like they've seen me twice. Once with Vish and Rick already, and then the follow up like caster swap vid with interviewing Good Game Smalley. So I was like, that's okay. So yeah, I know you sent me questions and things, and I was just like, okay, all right, let's just roll with this. So I prepped the boys beforehand. I was like, okay, these are the questions that Steve wanted to ask. Do you want to change anything or anything like that? And they're like, no. So yeah, we went through. There was a couple of things that just like a little bit of breaks in between, but that's what editing's for. So we edited it all down of that night. And
Debbie did it.
well, I think there was an attempt from your side, but then you're just like, were conked out by that point. I was like, I'll just do the rest.
Yeah.
It's okay. I was still running on Perth time, so it was.
Yeah, that's right. I was on New South Wales time. I was in the wrong direction.
Yeah,
but
yeah. So I was, still 2 hours ahead. I was like, you go to bed. It's fine. I'm still up. And then so by the time I finished recording, we pretty much had everything set up. Lo and behold, here comes Steve coming through. It's like, oh hey,
hey guys, what's busy? What's going on? So yeah, I walked in the door of the venue with suitcase in hand. I hadn't stopped by the hotel. I just went straight to the venue because I was late enough as was. I saw like all the guys standing at the front. Valiant Vish was like, "Oh, did you check that you actually have your luggage? Like that it's actually in there?" And I was like, "Oh," open it up, see that my suit's in there. Like, okay, we're fine.
Vish scared you like that.
I was like, oh yeah, maybe worth checking. This saga might not be over yet. And so like you get into the venue, pop up to see you guys. You guys have pretty much got like the caster desk and stuff set up. And so I'm like, great. I'm going to leave you straight away. I'm going to go like set up the, the phone capture and whatnot downstairs. And so I go and do that. Bought some new pieces of tech this time around so the competitors could listen to audio. Took a while to figure out exactly how that all plugged in, but we got there in the end. And it worked, which was beautiful. I didn't know if it worked. I hadn't tested it. I don't have an iPhone, so I couldn't test it at home, but it worked. It was successful. Happy days. Makes it a lot better for the competitors, and I would much prefer if the stream didn't impact the competitors as sort of as a baseline. We don't want to negatively impact anyone. Is the outside of like I guess general. Like I know some people feel a little bit of pressure being on stream, but I I guess it's a little. People have said that it's a lot less pressure on the oceanic ones because they're not
Mm.
like on that big stage with all the big cameras flying around and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. So
No
it's
face
a
cam as
little,
well. Yeah.
yeah, no face cam,
Mm-mm.
just phone. So it's a little less
Mm-hmm.
stressful than other streams around the world.
Mm.
Um, and so we get all that set up, and we didn't have time to check the internet line, so like it
Mm.
all seemed fine. And we weren't going to like leave tech there overnight. And so
Mm-mm.
like it was like, all right, tech all works, pack it all up, bring it
Mm-hmm.
back to the hotel,
Yeah.
and happy days. So like
Yeah.
I barely saw Stumpy or Fish on a
Mm-hmm.
heater or anyone. Like I
Yeah.
was just
I mean, there was a few things that was still left overnight.
yeah.
Like we had the back go board already up, provided from ESL. I left my um power board and my extension cord, but most importantly, Stumpy left his shoes.
He did. Yeah, so he had his formal shoes there, ready to go, which
Hmm.
might shock people, but he'd had his formal shoes in the caster room. They were sitting there
For
um,
display only.
for display only. So yeah, I guess that was about it for the Saturday. Like Debbie
Mhm.
and I went off and got grilled.
Yep.
Um, Shout out to Taj because he did like he sent a message through
Mm.
to be like, oh, do you guys need food? Like I can get some food, bring it to you guys. I know you're gonna be like going late and whatnot, which is very
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah,
So
thanks, Taj. Yeah,
I appreciate
but by the
Taj for
time,
that.
by the time we finished, it was so late that everyone probably went back to their hotels and was just chilling out by that point. And we're like, okay, we're just gonna grab some food really quickly and then go back to the hotel and finally, just be able to sit down because it would
Yeah.
just been go 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 from that point.
Well, I was stop in the airport for a while, but
Mm, what a luxury.
yeah, say that. And so like, as much as, it wasn't rest time when we got to the hotel, like I still
Mm,
had some editing to do,
mm,
of a few of
mm,
the interstitials, the caster swap
mm,
videos.
mm,
Um, like, I put Fish and Heaters video on the green
mm,
background. I had to Anacor, like shout out to Anacor for like, recording something
mm,
to recap the Indy qualifiers. I felt like he was a
mm,
good person to do it, and he
mm,
was.
mm,
But the man sent me 10 different video files with like different takes and whatnot, and was just like, hey man, can you edit it together? And I was like, I'll edit it together. That's fine. I can
mm,
accomplish that. So
mm,
I put it all together. I made a few like tiny little graphics that took me a few minutes
mm,
to just improve it a little bit, and clipped it together, whatever else.
mm,
And so had all of that ready to go. And then as we said before, I was going to edit the interviews. I was clearly crashing, and like it was
mm.
well late in my time zone.
Yeah.
And so it was like even past just Steve bedtime hours, like it was late
Mm.
enough.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'll wake up at like 5 a.m. and do it. Like
Yep.
I'll wake up at like 6 a.m. New South Wales time, 5 a.m. Brisbane time. It's fine. And
Mhm.
so then I'm like, eh. But I wake up to Debbie having edited it. So happy
Yep.
days. And then I think all I did in the morning was I attached I think the Ric Flair in interview clip, I sort of re-edited it to attach something else to it,
Mm-mm.
to lengthen the swap video. But anyway,
Yeah.
like, by then we've got all of these caster swaps ready to go, which, I guess now is as good of a time to mention it as any, but like, I thought they were sick. Like,
Mm.
I was like, heck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I
Definitely an
was,
improvement from previous community streams to have those caster swaps so that people were like really still quite engaged. If anything, looking forward to
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I mean, last time we had like a total of maybe 4 clips, and
Mm-mm.
even when a clip was played, we had a
Mm.
long "Be Right Back" screen that was sort of attached to it, sort of every time.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
this time, not only did I sort of like this was sort of my big priority the week of, like this is sort of what my
Mm-mm.
main focus was on these caster swap videos, and
Mm-hmm.
so like I had this spreadsheet, I kept reordering it to be like, oh, this is the order they should be played on stream and whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and I it was sort of like I want this to look as professional as possible. We're stepping up this time. Not
Mm-hmm.
only are we going to have unique caster swaps for every single caster swap in this stream, but we're
Mm-hmm.
also going to be going straight back on stream. There's going to be no be right back screen in
Mm-mm.
this entire stream. I also made sure there was enough, like I sort of made a bunch of graphics and whatever
Mm.
else to sort of use as sort of like vamp filler material
Mm-hmm.
whenever there might be tech issues or something.
Ah, tech
Wink, wink,
issues,
nudge,
hey?
nudge. We might see some a little later in this
Foreshadowing.
podcast. Foreshadowing. That's the word I was failing to find. Yeah, maybe that's foreshadowing. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, I got all these graphics together, got all these videos together, ready to go, and yeah, it worked really great. Like,
Mm.
we had enough caster swap footage to play unique one for every until after the grand finals, and
Yeah.
then we had to repeat one before the
Mm-hmm.
interview, which I think was pretty sick. I
Yeah.
was like, heck yeah, dude,
Yeah. Oh, I
nailed
got a
that.
lot of good feedback from the caster swap stuff. So, yeah, just people messaging going like, "Oh, the interviews are great." I'm like, "Great! I did that on the floor the day before
Yeah,
with
that
my
was
with my
unprepared.
phone."
Yeah, there was a lot of good feedback for that. So, shout out Debbie for stepping up the last minute on on that one.
Just me with like me being so short, like, "Hey, Ric Flair, what do you think about Brisbane Regional?"
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I had like the tripod and whatever else ready to go,
Yeah.
but we
Yep.
too bad. um,
Well, it was stuck in Newcastle.
yeah, whoopsies.
Mm.
But like I think the one of the and shout out to everyone that sent stuff in as well. Like Mikey
Mm.
Morgs recorded a video on the Brisbane locals. I
I
know,
I thought that was so funny.
and also boom. I loved it. And of course, Anacor, the
Mm.
Pokemon Company provided some a little bit of footage
Yeah,
as well, which
that was sick. I think having that just elevated everything as well. Going, oh wow, okay, we can actually use this.
yeah, it was pretty cool to have
Hmm.
the all of that official guys side set on victory row, all of that going through. It was pretty cool.
Hmm.
And then I think the one that is got the most attention,
Hmm.
the most positive reviews,
Hmm.
was the contribution from Alan Surprise and Zoe Two Dots. Which, if you haven't watched the stream back, I mean, the VOD is on YouTube. You can you
Hmm.
can watch it now. The pinned comment, it does have a direct timestamp to the Alan Surprise video
Hmm.
where he gives you some advice on how to take
Yes.
on Valiant Bish.
Yes.
Which, like, I mean, I was talking to Debbie about it, like,
Hmm.
maybe 2 weeks before the stream. I was like,
Mm-mm.
I've had a thought. It's like, I want Zoe and Alan involved.
Hmm.
I think I've got a script.
Hmm. And when you
And
sent
like,
it over, I was like, that is awesome. I'm sure they'll be down for it. Let's do it. And when you sent it over, they were like, yeah.
yeah, it was pretty sick. So,
Hmm.
they ran with it. They're awesome. Really appreciate them,
Hmm.
taking the time to put that together.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty good.
I
I was
I
a big fan.
still laugh at chat that were just kind of like, "What's Alan doing here?"
He's making some real contributions. So, yeah, it was pretty good though. So definitely
Mm-mm.
watch that one back if you haven't already. And of course, there was stuff from Debbie, myself, from Fish and a Heater.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, a lot of cool stuff. Hopefully, I'm not missing anyone. I I shudder to think if I've missed someone. I very well might have though. Drawing a blank though. That
No,
might
Mikey
be it.
Morgs, Fish on a Heater, myself, yourself, Alan, Zoe. Sounds about right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I can check the schedule to make sure I
And a
haven't missed
call.
anyone. Other than
Yeah.
Anacor as
I
well.
think the
But
other thing, besides, Alan surprise bit, a lot of people really loved your graphic. That it was like one of the first custom
oh
swap
yeah,
videos with all the Pokemon and all these little bars coming across. That was a pretty good visual. Not pretty good visual. It was like no one's ever seen something like that, and it got
yeah.
so much good praise in chat.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. Like
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I out of the blue sent this video to Debbie like a month back
mm-hmm,
of like the and, like yeah, I feel like it started happening when there were YouTube races between PewDiePie and T Series many years ago. But
mm-hmm,
there's those moving graph bars over bar graphs over time. Well,
mm-hmm. I just
of
dropped a
like,
pen. I'm fiddling.
yeah. Wow, I'm even not at this point. I have been all
Oh.
recording, so let's be real. I mean, I've been
Uh-huh.
moving this USB all over the place.
Yep,
Anyway,
yep, yep. Mm-hmm,
there's all those bar graphs things where like things move over time, and you can see the moving up and down the rankings as the bar graphs increase and decrease.
mm-hmm,
And so I made one of those a month ago as a proof of concept of the 2025 meta progressing over time and like the
mm-hmm.
usage and from tournament to tournament. And like I sent it out of the blue to Debbie a month ago, and was like, Yeah,
Yeah.
this is awesome.
Mhm.
This is pretty sick. Again, as you said, no one's ever done it before. It felt
Mhm.
like it's been on in my mind for months of like
Mhm.
doing something like it. I think I had it
Mhm.
written down in a notepad of like, this would be awesome. If I
Mhm.
actually wrote a note, like, learn how to do this. Like,
Mhm.
learn, I need to upskill. I need to learn a new skill. I need to learn how to
Mhm.
make these bar graph moving thingers.
Mhm.
But it would be awesome if I did that. And so, like, a month before the stream, I was like, yeah, we're doing it.
Yeah.
So I made the tester. Obviously, I had to wait a little bit for like the Stockholm data, for example.
Mm.
But I almost forgot. I was so distracted by all of the other caster swap footage and organizing, like, casters and graphics and whatever else, that
Mhm.
I almost completely neglected it. And it wasn't until the morning of my flight that I was like, oh, heck, right, I need to remake that one. And so I sort of rush remade it. They
Mhm.
were about to like someone was coming in to like super clean the lounges and stuff upstairs. So it was going to get
Yeah.
super loud in about 20 minutes. So I had to like speed run, like, put this together, record the clip. I mean,
Mhm.
there's like two stumbles. Like I stumble over my words like twice in it,
Mm.
because it's a 3 minute video and it's for the stream. I would have kept recording until it was perfection. But because I was
Mm.
rushing, I was like, I do not have time. We do not have the
Mm.
room. We
Yeah.
are running this.
Yeah.
But it got there in the end, and yeah, Speedy's Chief tweeted it out, and it's really cool.
Mm.
I'm a big fan of it. I uploaded it to the PvP Josh channel, just
Mhm.
mainly because Tristan T. Westell was requesting it, so shout
Yeah.
out you. But yeah, it's there now, and I think it is
Mhm.
really cool.
Yeah. It
It's
is really cool. I wonder if like Play Pokemon's going to take that and kind of like run with it as well, because I think it's an awesome visual, especially for those that are new to the game or perhaps like a
mm,
bit out of the game and suddenly like, why are people running Swallowed? Uh, so
yeah,
they're trying to build their certain mons and then suddenly going, oh man, it's not viable anymore. Why? Or like, why do I keep losing? And it's like, oh well, the meta shifted. This is what's happened. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a really good one.
yeah,
Kudos. Haven't
definitely
done
worth checking out. Of course, you can watch the YouTube video version of it, but you can just watch the VOD. Watch the entire 9 hour plus Brisbane VOD. It'll be worth it.
it. Yep, no timestamps on
This
that one.
no timestamps. It is the first caster swap though, so you can find it pretty easily.
Mm.
As you scroll through the scroll bar, it's going to be me Stumpy, me Stumpy, me Stumpy, Debbie Fish, all back a bit.
Mhm. Mhm.
So you can find it, but it's really cool. I was
Mm.
like, again, that's certainly one that I was really happy with
Yeah.
because yeah, and I definitely got some messages from the folks upstairs that were like,
Mm.
dude, that's awesome. And I was like,
Mm-mm-mm.
yeah, it is. Yeah, I would love to see that sort of thing on the official streams as well because it is
Mm.
such a good graphic. And
Yeah.
yeah, so that was cool.
Yay. Mhm.
Um, and the graphics as well. Like, I guess a few shout outs there. In that, I mean, I just used like Drake of his assets, but I sort of
Mhm.
made most of the graphics this time around.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, Galax did give us. He sort of reconfigured his graphic about the Fuzzy Buddy event.
Fuzzy
Um,
body event.
yeah, I haven't watched that bit back, but I know that Debbie and Fish did talk about it at some point.
Talking about the fuzzy body event, I remember talking to Valiant Vish after, when everything was all done and at the Pig and Whistle, and he was like, "Man, people are getting pandas during the event." I'm like, "Dude, it was a fuzzy buddy event. What do you mean you didn't know about the fuzzy buddy event?"
Hey, the
And I
man
was
was still battling for a while.
yeah, yeah. Oh, so what do you mean? Of course, it's during the time we have Brisbane Regional that people want to build a good Pangoro. So, and I was just like, yeah, look, sorry, dude.
Look, most people wouldn't have cared about it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a easily missable event, but yeah,
Mm-mm.
Vish. Well, Vish, if you wanted to play the event, then maybe you shouldn't have done so well in the regional. Maybe that's something that you can think about for next time, huh? But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that's the assets side of the stream and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Big
that was
shout
a
out
big
to,
step up, I think.
yeah. I mean, like Drake of his assets, like you said. Even from when I made the past champions of Oceania, a lot of it was assets that were you guys already made. So I just kind of yoinked them, just put them together.
Yeah. I think that's more of a Steve one rather than a you
Oh,
guys.
okay.
But
All right.
that was PowerPoint actually.
Thanks to Steve's PowerPoint.
Yeah, shout out PowerPoint, man. It's like the greatest for trying to make videos with like transitions and stuff. It's awesome.
I loved how it's like
Uh,
pretty much the same assets. You've already made one video and then I've just like stolen it and just made another one
yeah.
from it. I'm just like, yeah,
Well,
let's milk this.
well, another shout out, and this is just going to be a video of shout outs. And again, it's a behind the
Mm,
scenes episode, really.
mhm,
But big shout out to Speediest Chief as well, because
mm,
he, like, I was sort of talking, I guess using him as a bit of a thought bounce board.
mm,
And we
mm.
were talking about like some ideas for like graphics and like stuff that we could sort of have on the stream.
Yeah.
And he was the one that really like pushed, like, oh, you should like absolutely do like, the championship point tier list thingo that you post on Twitter.
Mhm,
Like you should, edit that in for the stream. And I was like, yeah, sounds
mm,
awesome.
mm,
And where was I going with this? One thing that like, again, something that sort of, again, the idea sort of bounced back and I was like, yeah, this is good, was
mhm,
having a sort of, I guess, template
mhm,
that can be sort of reused and retweaked and retwigged for lots of different sort of caster swap sort of footage, like not
mm.
only in Brisbane but in the future.
Yeah.
And so it sort of just, I guess, provides that grander work so that I don't have to put as
Mhm.
much time in for the next time,
Yeah.
which yeah, pretty cool. But
Yeah. And,
shout out PowerPoint.
and also, the idea of the Arceus Aurelius.
Yes, that
uh,
was a Speediest Chief original, the Arceus Aurelius Azumarill poll.
mhm, mhm,
He sort of said it was a Speediest Chief suggestion
mhm,
to sort of poll the community a little bit and get some feedback, get a feeling for where everyone's vibes are at. And
mhm,
so I sent out that survey and got some responses back and built a few graphics off of those responses.
mhm.
But yeah, he came up with that name, which I was like, heck yeah. And sorry, majority of people who entered the survey, you were wrong. Azumarill did win the Brisbane Regional Championships.
I
So,
said yes.
yeah, I said yes as well.
Mhm,
I was
mhm,
like, yeah, man. But um, yeah, I guess
mhm.
that kind of brings us to the regional itself, right?
Yeah, yeah, the regional itself. And so we had a swap around with casters, so we got separated. Uh, so I paired up with Fish on a Heater, and you paired up with Stumpy. That actually came in last minute.
Yeah, Stumpy. We talked. Wait, did we talk about last week? No, we didn't
We
actually. Oh
didn't.
no, we
We
did.
didn't.
We did. We
Did we?
recorded on like Thursday, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We did. We did. We did.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
So yeah, Stumpy came in last minute, and so very thankful for Stumpy as well. Originally, he was going to compete, and so he sort of jumped over he hadn't registered yet, so it's not like he was burning up one of the because Brisbane capped, by the way, which
Yes.
again I don't think we got to talk about last week because it was so last minute. Like we capped on the
Mm-mm-mm.
Friday,
Yeah.
so it did hit the 64 player cap.
Mm-hmm.
Stumpy wasn't burning one of those slots, so
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't taking a spot from someone that wanted to or anything, but
Yeah.
yeah, he came in really last minute, really clutch. Really appreciate him sort of stepping in.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get a lot of like practice time, but I think we
Mm.
really, once we got sort of warm in the stream, I think it
Mm.
started working really well.
Yeah.
Um, got a lot of positive feedback on that as well, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, look, we rocked into the venue at about 7 to sort of reset up all of the tech and whatnot,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
make sure everything was working, plug
Mm-hmm.
everything in. All worked pretty seamlessly, to be honest. Like I
Upstairs
don't think
did.
there weren't any problems downstairs at the start, were there?
Oh, just
Uh,
an internet cable wasn't working.
oh yeah, yeah. I plug in the internet cable and I'm like, huh, this isn't working. We didn't test it yesterday, so maybe we could have caught it yesterday. But I've now plugged it in, and if this internet cable doesn't work, we don't have a stream because this internet cable is what gets the phone footage to the stream.
Mm-hmm.
No phone footage, no stream. What are we doing
Mm-hmm.
here? And so I'm like, oh heck, man. But luckily it was a really quick fix. Like I talked to ESL and was like, hey, this thing isn't working. And I'm like, okay, we'll get the guy. The guy comes. He's like, okay. And he seemed really chill. Like
Mm-hmm.
he sort of instantly walked away and he said, I'll be back. But he said
Mm-hmm.
it in such a chill way that it was like, oh, he knows exactly how to fix this.
Mm-mm-mm.
So he comes back a few minutes later, try again, plug it in, it works. I'm like, okay, we're fine. We're fine.
Yeah, yeah. We
So
love
yeah,
people like that.
yeah. Shout out ESL guy. I didn't even catch his name. He just sort of appeared, disappeared, reappeared, and it worked. So shout
Mhm.
out random ESL man. But yeah, we sort of kick off 9 a.m.
Mhm.
Miss Mystic is running production, just like the last two, and she is just incredible. The amount
Oh.
of work that she,
Mhm.
puts in for free for the benefit of the community, for the benefit of the oceanic region, is
Mm.
unmatched.
Yeah.
Um, Honestly, she is the goat of the oceanic region.
Mhm. Mhm.
So um, major shout out her way. Even like, she stayed up till 3 a.m. for this stream and then immediately started working elsewhere, like as soon as it wrapped up. Like she is just a machine.
Yeah.
It's
Everything that
ridiculous.
you said. She's just incredible, and it's not even her time zone. It's not even her locals. Like she's
Yep.
just doing this for the love of the community and to get Oceania on the map so people know these battlers and know like what we can do here. And yeah, like it wasn't a short stream, it's a one dayer as well,
Yeah.
so it was long. And
Mm-hmm.
she was key. Like I was like, a bit worried. I was like, oh, maybe we should wrap, like, skip a few battles and just wrap it up at a certain time. She's like, no, 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 everything should be played. I was like, all right, let's keep this going then.
Yeah. Pretty much entirely because of Miss Mystic, it was a priority of mine that like we want this stream to end by like, the scheduled time, which like
Mm,
they were
mm,
sort of planning for 6 p.m. I was kind of aiming for 5 p.m.
mhm,
Grand
mhm.
scheme of things. But like it was a priority of mine. I was like, I'm not getting Miss Mystic to stay up till like 9 p.m. our time, which is
Yeah,
stupid o'clock. I mean,
yeah,
even stupider o'clock. She was already
yeah,
staying up for till stupid o'clock for us. But
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, yeah, she's the goat. So go give
True.
Miss Mystic some love as well because
Mhm,
she
mhm,
definitely deserves it more than
mhm,
anything. So yeah, shout out to her. But we kicked off, 9 a.m.
mhm.
Um, Granted, well, actually, 9 a.m. hit, and then we were supposed to go live, and I was like, oh, hang on, I need some Ventolin. So I only got some Ventolin, came back, and then we got started a few minutes after the hour.
Mm.
Um, yeah, and I guess it's all history from there. Watch the stream for how the battles exactly went.
Yeah.
But
And we sent Fish to the floor, and that's just me madly writing 64 team sheets into the spreadsheet.
yeah, that's right. That's one of the, I guess, downsides of this being a very unofficial sort of shenanigan. We get the team sheets like pretty last minute, grand scheme of things, and so we have to sort of reformat it into Miss Mystic's production spreadsheet, which really helps her. So we are obviously going to do
Mm-mm.
it, but
Mm-mm.
it is a bit of work. I remember just mad typing last year at Perth because we
Mhm.
got them pretty late in the game compared to when the stream was going to start. We
Yeah.
had a much greater lead time this time, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, and a
Um,
PDF this time instead
yeah,
of paper
yeah,
sheets
the
last
paper
time.
sheets.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's getting smoother each time
Mm-mm.
around, which is nice.
Mhm.
But yeah, then it was casting time, and again, it was sort of one of these shenanigans where we had 4 people. We didn't have any extra staff or anything. Like
Mm-mm.
it was us that was running the stream, and so two of us would be on stream. One
Mhm.
person would be on the floor, and their sort of main role is to sort of communicate whenever there's a review or whenever like, oh, there's a problem with the battlers, or there's
Mhm.
there's a delay, or like, oh, they're getting started now.
Mhm.
That sort of just like making sure that, or like these are the next two battles they're going to be on stream.
Yeah.
So one person was sort of communicating all of that, and then there
Mhm.
was another person that was sort of like at the start very much just communicating with all sides, making sure everything is fine.
Mhm.
It sort of, I think, progressed into the sort of rest role, which is good.
Mm.
It's like sort of chill out a little bit.
I
um,
called it the someone to open the door role.
Yeah, that was actually an important part as well because we were right next door to some sort of gluten-free convention that
Mm-mm-mm.
constantly had people walking sort of through this staircase that was right next to where we were casting and whatnot. So it was,
Mm-mm.
yeah, we tried to keep the door closed when we could, but you
Yeah.
couldn't unlock it from the outside without keycard access that we didn't have. So someone
Mhm.
needed to be able to open the door to let whoever is in.
Yeah.
If they weren't around. But to
Yeah.
be honest with you, like I don't think I've had real rest time through the entire thing. I think I
I
was
don't
pretty.
I don't think you had
Um,
rest time. Unfortunately, everything that kinda happened was during your rest time, which is fortunate because I knew that
mm,
you had it. There's a few things that I fixed in between when you
mm,
guys were streaming, but they were easy things. I think, the foreshadowing, as we'll get to it at some point, that was a big complicated one where I don't think I would have been able to fix it.
mm. To be honest, at the time, I felt like I couldn't either. But I was determined. I was going to get there. We weren't going to end the stream.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
yeah. Look, obviously, we can. I think. the way this is going to go, we can sort of come back and talk about the sort of the results and the teams and whatnot, sort of at the end of our
Hmm.
discussion of the way through, I guess. Um, but yeah, well, I guess was there sort of any notable moments outside of the issue,
Hmm.
um, for you through the cast and whatnot?
I think everything just went really smooth. I felt like it was like I got a lot of good feedback from other people being like, "Oh, you definitely seem more confident in this particular stream than in your other streams. You and Fish work really well together." Um, and yeah, it was just a lot of like that kind of positive feedback from my side, which I was like, oh yeah, cool. I mean, the battles, they like obviously I really enjoyed the match of like Valiant Fish versus Rick Flareon, having a repeat of Melbourne Regional Finals of
Awesome.
2022. Yeah, yeah. I was just like, yes. So I was very much like, Ross, we're doing that one. And as soon as I said that, I was like running back upstairs because I'm like, I've got to go. I got to go. It's my turn now.
Get Stephen Stumpy out of here.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Put me in. Put me in.
Well, it's that 3 minute delay, right, from
Yeah.
the stream on the floor to the actual stream itself. So there's 3 minutes in between. So as soon as they finish or they're locked in, I knew I had 3 minutes to get upstairs. So
Well, 3 minutes. Yeah, yeah, kind of.
ish, yeah, yeah. So I was just like, no,
Sort of
okay.
6 minutes, I guess. But depends how you math it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Lead up time, everything, and just into
Yeah, yeah,
locking
yeah.
into that. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, just I think it was just overall a fun time, honestly. Like as chatting with Stumpy afterwards, it was so much fun. I think it's just just on a general high. I'll just be like, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, I think you did. I mean, we talked about this a little bit, and Fish and Nahida has sort of said it in the Oceanic Discords as well.
Mm,
But it's sort of like you in your pair, you sort of stepped up to become that sort of, I guess, backbone and sort of like just keep things moving along and sort of like set Fish up to like
mm.
you'd sort of probe Fish and sort of ask him something or like
Yeah. Yeah.
something
I mean,
like
he
that.
has a
So
knowledge, so I was just like,
yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah,
well, let's just
absolutely.
showcase this while we're in downtime of in between battles. Um I've already mentioned to yourself of this, but I was like, oh, I had to step up here.
I can't rely on no Steve anymore.
I was like, oh, I've got no Steve.
Yeah, because like in the past, Debbie and I, like she's we've sort of been like, look, like I'll provide that, I'll provide that backbone. I'll
Hmm.
keep us moving. I'll
Yeah.
hit the big notes and sort of keep us going and sort of throw
Hmm.
you.
Hmm.
And when like again, Stumpy came in really late in the piece, and
Hmm.
so he sort of asked me like going into it. He was like, "Can you drive the car? Like
Hmm.
I'm ready to passenger along, but
Hmm.
I'd like you to drive." And like again, it sort of worked out quite well, I think.
Yeah.
I know Mikey Morgs sort of put it in a way that I was the vines on the wall, and Stumpy was those beautiful grapes. Just,
what, what a
uh,
metaphor.
yeah, no wonder why I was thinking on that particular topic. Very, very Mikey Morgs metaphor.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, I think that pairing worked really well as well. I think we did.
Mm-mm-mm.
I think it was a good. I think the pairings worked out well. Which
Yes,
again,
agree.
not something that you tend to well, it's I guess different to need to consider it in making a broadcast. Like it's obviously
Mm-mm-mm.
like the Pokemon company does this all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like it's very designed who is casting with who, and
Mm-mm-mm.
you sort of see this in the Road to World Series as well, of like them sort of discussing this topic as well. But
Mm-mm.
it's sort of very yeah. I think the pairs were. I was gonna say chosen well. I chose it, I guess. So like, am I just giving myself a compliment, maybe, or just saying
You
luckily it
deserve it.
worked out? Yeah. So yeah, I think the pairs went well for
Mm-hmm.
Brisbane.
Mm-mm.
I did enjoy casting with Stumpy as well. It actually
Mm.
in I think I've got sort of two things on this. One is that for me, not only in the lead up, but especially the day of through the stream,
Mm-hmm.
this is the most work day that any of these broadcasts have been. Like I was
Mm-mm.
switched on the entire time. Either I was casting or when I wasn't casting, like
Mm-hmm.
my phone was glued to my hand, and like I was
Yeah.
constantly like either had Discord open or I had like I had something
Mm-hmm.
open and I was doing something sort of at all times.
Mm-hmm.
I like um so I guess it was just a constant state of busyness. But
Mm-hmm.
on that, it kind of was the most fun I had.
Mm.
Like,
Oh,
it was
mhm.
I guess it's the most just involved I felt.
Yes.
It felt cool. And casting the grand finals, because like you and I were sort of paired up the last two Perth regionals, and we
Yep.
didn't cast the grand finals. This
Nope.
time, Stumpy and I did the grand finals, and it was just like it as a set, it is the most enjoyment I have derived out of casting a battle ever. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, as you're well aware, because you were in the room, like, we were well into it. Like, we were well getting loud. Like, we were moving back in our chair. My arms were constantly moving more than they
Just
usually
hitting the
were.
backboards.
Yeah, my chair moved back so far, I, hit the backboard, and Debbie was worried it was going to tip over onto us.
I was
So
worried you're gonna like basically make a hole out of it. I was just like, that's not ours.
yeah. So it got pretty intense, but it was really cool.
Mhm.
So I had a lot of fun doing that, and I think like I rode that high for a while. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I've never got that feeling out of casting before. But
Mm-mm-mm.
yeah, the grand finals were definitely something special.
The grand finals, if you guys haven't watched it, go back and watch it. If you're gonna watch anything, watch the grand finals. It was spectacular. Like it was so close to call. It was just
It was wild.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
insane.
yeah. It was just
Uh,
I I wouldn't know what to do in that. Like it's such high finesse, high skilled play that I've ever seen. Honestly, it was just
yeah,
literally split like millisecond decisions of just trying to win the end, and that was incredible. And also, I do have behind the scenes footage that's on Twitter as well. If
sure.
you want to see that final of that last match, because I thought that was pretty cool, just seeing you and Stumpy so amped, and then just a cameo of Godzilla.
Yeah, I mean, I almost replied. I was like, exposing the 3-minute delay with the like, because like we're casting the final battle, and as we're sort of like casting this final battle, like
Mm-mm.
Godzilla walks into the room. It's like because he's
He's ready
about
for
to,
his interview.
yeah, he's ready for his interview.
Mhm.
Which yeah, like Stumpy said he didn't want to look. He didn't want spoilers. I sort of saw
Mm-mm.
Godzilla out of the corner of my eye, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but I was
yeah.
like, okay. But I think at that point, by the time he walked in, it was also like he was kind of locked in game five. Like it was sort of
Mm-mm.
Godzilla was in such a strong position in game
Mm.
five that it was sort of like, yeah,
Yeah,
like we're casting, but we know he got this.
yeah.
So at least he like it wasn't like a spoiler or anything. So
No, no. But
um,
it was still, I think, it was you both were very in the moment, so I
oh
could
yeah,
see that like you was very tempted that he was there, but it was also very much like you both were very locked in on the screen as well, and
yeah,
just so it, like from my end, really entertaining to watch because I could see your facial reactions and how involved you guys were. But obviously, for the people watching the stream, they're not seeing you; they're just seeing the visuals, right? So
mm,
that's why I was like, oh, this is a pretty cool video. Like I actually enjoy. Like this is my favorite part.
mm. And like I think the voice carried over the level of excitement for sure. Even if
Mm-mm-mm.
you can't see the casters on screen.
Mm.
But yeah, it was cool in the room as well.
Mhm.
I for the most part while we were casting, I didn't like because like the screen was sort of like on the right hand side where Debbie was sort
Yes.
of sitting as well.
Mhm.
And so it was sort of right in front of our face. And so like whoever
Mhm.
was to our left, whether it was Fish or Stumpy, would sort of be
Mm.
looking over us to the screen.
Yeah.
And so like I didn't look back to Stumpy a lot during the casting,
Uh-huh.
but in those grand finals, it was like, we're in this. It's
Yeah.
like, like
Yeah.
holy heck, are we watching the same thing? This is insane,
Mm-mm.
right? This is
Mm-mm-mm.
this is wild. So it was pretty cool. Um but yeah, it was a
Mhm.
really again, really full work mode, but also really,
Mhm.
really fun. And I think in a
Yeah.
lot of ways it sort of reinvigorated like I like casting battles. It was pretty cool.
Mm-mm.
So I look forward to, maybe doing it again in the future.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because yeah, very, very fun.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. It was a good day. Like
Yeah.
and not that like, uh, not that the previous ones wasn't. It was just the fact that I was just like everything seemed to be so much smoother. Yes, it was a bit more like a harder work day, but it was just it didn't feel tiring. It didn't feel bad. It just feels like, oh, like, yeah, okay, cool. We're doing this now. Okay, we're doing this now. Oh, we're doing the finals now. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Like it was just such an enjoyable time, honestly.
Mm.
Like, we're we're going off our own backs. Like, I'm flying over. I'm paying my flight to go to these. I'm not even competing. I'm just for the enjoyment of the community and just to, like we mentioned, showcase these awesome battlers. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun time for me.
Yeah, and I don't regret the spend at all either. Like,
Mm-mm.
again, I mean, your flight was a lot more expensive than mine, but then I'm also paying for tech and like whatever else.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're gonna have to buy some more tech. But
Oh, did we talk about why?
yeah. So during the broadcast, at some point while Fish and Debbie were on we're casting, I think.
Yes,
I can't
yes.
remember exactly how it went, but maybe like one of the battles went to one screen, perhaps.
It did go to one
Um,
screen, and the screen
yeah.
that was still on started flashing.
Yeah. So what had happened is that the way that this tech was set up was that like the phone capture was being captured by an Elgato capture card, and then the capture card would go to the laptop, and the laptop would
Mhm.
send it to production. On the Elgato capture card, there was another device plugged in that would yoink the audio out of the Elgato capture card so that the competitors could listen to their game audio.
Mhm.
At some point, one of these devices absolutely fried. Like it just busted. They weren't overheating. They weren't like it's and so like they were like Steve, and so
Mhm.
I'm sort of looking at it. They're like ready to start this next game right on
Mhm.
stream, and I'm like, oh heck.
Mhm.
And so I'm sort of looking at it. I try like unplug, replug, all sorts of
Yeah.
things. Nothing is working. It's
Mhm.
all sort of like the OBS capture isn't working. The audio isn't
Mhm.
working. None of it is working.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, well, heck. And so I'm again conscious of the fact that I don't want to stretch this tournament out. I don't want to
Mhm.
impact the competitors
Mhm.
as much as I can. So I'm like, look, play this battle.
Mhm.
Um, we'll just have the one phone screen. We'll ignore the other
Mhm.
guy completely. So I
Mhm.
think we'll see what we can do.
Mhm.
And after that's done, we're gonna pause stream games for a while,
Mhm.
while I try and solve this tech issue,
Yeah.
and hopefully we can do it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I sort of, we sort of probe to Debbie and Fish, like, hey,
Mhm.
you guys, we've gotten pretty deep through this broadcast. I've got a lot of graphics still sitting there ready to go that we haven't used. It's time to start burning them. It is time to start burning through those filler graphics because, we're going to need some time. So,
Yeah. So that battle that we streamed, yes, it was only one screen and it started flashing and it ended up being a 2-0 for I can't remember who were playing, but it ended up being a 2-0. And it was really quite difficult because like some charge moves will go off and the screen will pause or go black and then come back and it'll be like, oh, okay, it's on this mon now. And it's just because it's one screen as well. It was just
yeah,
like, I'm not sure what's happening. And we finished the match. So then when I was like, okay, all right, they've got to fix this. So it's like, all right, on to caster picks. so, so we
yeah,
talked about that, talked about the CP values for certain Pokemon, and then I think we ended up at the Fuzzy Buddy event. So I was like, yeah, we're gonna have to vamp for 20 minutes just on this.
yeah. It was a solid effort for the vamp.
Mm-mm,
And like, the on the tech side of things, like I just had to shut it all down. Like I turned off
mm-mm.
the phone stream. I turned off the laptop. Like I just killed it all. I was like,
Yeah,
look, we're
yeah.
gonna have to start from the ground up. I unplugged literally every cord across
Mm-hmm,
the entire way, all of the PowerPoints, all of the USB, like all done. And
yeah.
it's like, all right, let's build this from the ground up, see what
Mm-hmm,
happens. And so like
mm-hmm,
one, okay, it works. Two, still works. Okay, three,
yeah,
four, like just one by
yeah.
one by one by one.
Mm-hmm,
And I'm like, okay, this seems to be working.
mm-hmm,
Fingers crossed. And so then I set up a new stream. I shoot that through to
mm-hmm.
production. I'm like, okay, we might be okay. I think
Yes,
we've done
yeah,
it. And
yeah.
so I'm like, sweat off the brow. Like, all right,
Uh-huh.
guys, next battle's coming up soon.
Mm-hmm,
And so I think we skipped one battle from the stream. They just played it
mm-hmm.
off stream. And
Yeah.
then for the next one, it was like, okay, like we're good.
Mhm,
Bring the next
mhm.
guys on. We're
Yes,
it's
yeah,
happy days. So
yeah.
I was pretty relieved because I was
Mm,
definitely concerned about the outcome of like, oh, the stream just might end.
mhm, mhm.
Like not even that close to the end. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, but
Yeah, because I thought that might have been a possibility, as well. I'm just like, okay, if that something's fried, like one of the capture cards is gone or something along those lines, I was like, okay, if Steve can't fix this, let alone I can fix this, it's gonna be pretty much GG's.
yeah,
So, yeah, I was like, okay. Obviously, Fish didn't know what was going on with the situation, so I was like, "Alrighty, this might be the last bit we'll be on stream." So I was just like, "Okay, let's just keep going." And
Yeah.
then when I got the call of like streams back up, I was like, "Alrighty, sweet."
Yeah. So, long story short, I need to buy some replacement tech.
So
But,
jump on to Steve's
nah.
Patreon, to his
It's fine.
YouTube, become a subscriber,
It,
twitch.tv/ppv
again, it's so
Steve7,
worth it. Like,
add a sub.
it's
Um,
very cool to be able to do this sort of thing. So, I'm very grateful and very happy to, foot that bill. That's fine.
we cannot go
It's fine.
through one podcast without me plugging you. So there it is.
Yeah. Okay, we're done now. No more necessary. We're good.
I met my quota.
Yeah, we're fine. We've ticked that
Mm.
box.
Mhm.
The sponsorship box is ticked.
Yep.
Um,
Sponsored by yourself.
yeah, apparently. Well, sponsored by Debbie on behalf of. like, anyway, that
Wait, I get
was,
paid.
I guess, what? I guess that was the broadcast in a nutshell.
Mm.
Again, shout out Miss Mystic, shout out ESL,
Thank
especially
you.
like the judge staff. They
Mm.
were really instrumental in getting this going as well. They were
Mm-mm.
really flexible. Like,
Yes.
I was constantly talking to them through the event of like, look,
Mm-hmm.
like, this is falling behind. What if we stream this instead? And they were
Mm-mm.
really like, I don't know why I was concerned. I guess I'm just used to things being a little bit archaic,
Mm-mm.
and sort of like structured. And
Yep.
so I was sort of expecting to get rejected at a lot of turns that they were like, no,
Mm-mm.
that sounds like a good idea. We can do that.
Yep.
And I was
Yep.
like, every time I was like, oh, that's such a relief. This is
Yeah.
such a good idea.
It
Like,
felt
you should
very
definitely do this.
smooth from like production end of
Yeah.
things where I was just like, because when you weren't on the floor, I was on the floor, and I was like, all right, cool. Like talking to staff and judges, I'm like, okay, where are we at? Who's the next battler? Who's the ones after this? It's like, okay, this is pending on this one. It'll be this. If this is works out, then it's this. So I was like, oh, okay, all right, cool. We've got legs. As in, they've actually thought out the processes of what's going to happen. I was like, okay, cool. It's like, okay, if we do this, then we're on time. At the moment, we're kind of behind here, so we're going to actually just jump across here and just like make sure that everything runs smoothly. I'm like, cool, we want to work with you.
All right. Hopefully we've remembered the timestamp in there, because otherwise, that was probably really interesting. I just stretched a bit.
For people listening on like Spotify, that's like, what's going on?
Yeah, why is it so quiet? What's the
Yeah.
okay. Anyway, so let's talk about the teams and whatnot. Again, we've already spoiled the winner, so we won't like build it up or anything in a lot of ways. So I guess we'll go through the winning team from Godzilla, the Azumarill, the Charger Bug, which was quite unique up in the top end. Guzzlord, Malamar, Swalot, and the Talonflame with Flame Charge and Fly, which is a little bit different.
Yeah. It's definitely a unique team. I don't think anyone else brought a similar team in that capacity. And I believe Godzilla has been practicing with his team in Flash for a bit as well. So I think he was very, very, very comfortable with his team leading into the meta, or into the regionals rather. And just overall, like it wouldn't be like a team that I would think of. But now looking at it, I was like, oh, that's a good, solid coverage team. It has little holes in this particular team.
Yeah, and again we'll talk to Godzilla presumably in next week's episode. But it is a very I think he sort of mentioned on the stream a little bit, or maybe I was just talking to him before or after, but he was kind of like, look, I wasn't doing too well in practice tournaments with this team, or with like a similar team in the lead up. And so I was like, not coming in too confident, but he just really locked in for Brisbane. And we talk about it on the broadcast, but he went 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, and like he didn't drop a game until the winners finals, where he still won.
Yeah.
He won 3-2 up against Choose, who then came back in the grand finals and came second, coming in from Japan. And that was, I guess, one of the other big key parts that came out of Brisbane Regionals, is that there was quite a lot of Asian representation coming in from the TPC region.
Yeah.
So again, something we've talked about in the past is that trainers from Asia, they can qualify for Worlds if they win a tournament in Oceania, but they don't get championship points. And so
No.
there were a lot of battlers coming in from Japan, from South Korea, from Hong Kong, all sort of trying to get that big win. to
Yeah.
qualify for Worlds.
Yeah, I mean, like we had, I believe, four from Japan, and one of the big names, I suppose, is Ishikawa Boy. I think that was
Mm.
definitely one of those that everyone was like, "Oh gosh, like if I get paired with him," because when these Asian players come in, they're not seeded, so they're going to be thrown in like everyone else. Whereas, they might be paired up with Valiant Vish in first round,
Hmm.
because they're not seeded. However, because of that, it's just like, oh, this is actually a really good match because. But very early into the rounds, it's like, oh, that's a bit tough. So yeah, four from Japan, like you said, one from Hong Kong. We had Yeta Runa from South Korea, which is pretty cool. I always love to see the female battlers, especially ones that are so high ranked, like Yeta Runa, to come down and battle. And yeah, I believe also, like you said, from Singapore. As well. So yeah, it was pretty cool to see some Asian representation come into the fold, but it's also kind of like, oh, okay, like we got to step up because we need
Yeah.
we need our Oceania battlers to make sure they've got enough points and enough spots as well, because like we only have 10 that can qualify, so with world slots, and that's small in my opinion. So yeah, I'm like, oh, so yeah, it was good. We claimed home soil, which is good.
Yeah, that's right. And look, I think one of the teams that I really wanted to talk about the most
Mm.
was Yetarunas because it was
Mm-hmm.
just so unique. And
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think something that I don't know if you guys talked about it a lot. I
Mm.
still need to watch a lot of the stream back. But me and Stumpy brought it up quite regularly in the uniqueness of so many teams that sort of kept
Yes.
coming through in the regional. In like there were
Mm-hmm.
so many matchups where like Stumpy would look at the teams and be like, Steve, there are 11 unique Pokemon here out of the
Yep.
12 Pokemon, and we're like,
Yes.
at the top levels of the tournament. And so
Uh-huh.
it's not like the meta had condensed to a six.
Mm-mm.
I'd actually argue that the meta, maybe condensed is the wrong word, but there was a smaller number of unique Pokemon running around in this regional than like Stockholm, for example.
Yes.
Um, it doesn't mean that everyone was running the same team. It
No.
was there was still a lot of variety in there,
Yeah.
and I do think that Yetaruna probably had the maybe Valiant Fish should actually take this title in some sense. But what I was going to
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
say it was maybe like the greatest success with such a unique team. But yeah,
Yeah.
Valiant Fish is actually pretty unique as well. But we'll
Well,
talk
Vish
about
had
Yetaruna.
all different types, right? But yeah, we'll go back to Yet I think
Yeah,
I Fish on a Heater and I pretty much streamed most of the battles. I think it was only for
yeah.
yourself that was with Yet versus Rick Flareon.
Mm.
That was the only one that you guys did, because like we were pretty much like every time we were on stream it was like, oh, Yet yet again.
I was
um,
jealous, for the record. I remember standing in the room, like looking at you guys, seeing the screen, seeing Yetaruna's team, and being like,
mhm.
"Oh my gosh, I want, I want to cast these battles. That's awesome."
Yeah, yeah. I really honed in on one, the Morpeko, being like,
Hmm.
no one else I've seen on stream thus far has brought a Morpeko. And throughout the whole matches that we casted, she didn't bring it out. I was like, where's the
Oh, really?
Morpeko? Yep, not at all. Did not bring out the Morpeko until it was your stream with Rick, which I think
Sick.
Rick's team was a little bit weak to Morpeko, but Rick being Rick, he managed to work around it.
Yeah.
Um but the other two things that I was really focusing, oh, actually, no, there's two other things, but the other one was one, Ariados. I was just like, this season, this
Yeah.
meta?
Mine and
Um,
Mastery, are we sure?
yeah, but the really key outlier here is that she bought two Hydro Cannoners. So we have Shadow for Alligator, which we thought like, yeah, no, that's done for this season, and Swampert. So it really honed in a lot of like previous seasons, kind of mixed and molded into this like team that really worked for her. And I really like the fact that she only had one Shadow, which was the Feraligatr, whereas
Hmm.
everything else was not Shadow, which is played to her strengths. I think it just could cop a lot more, and played to her style, which I thought was pretty cool. Like it was really cool to see a lot of the lines was ABB and having the two water types in the back, but had still moves that covered a lot of areas as well, even if it was a grass type. Um, so yeah, it was pretty fascinating to watch, honestly.
Yeah. Again, I haven't got to see a lot of her battles that you guys casted, but
Mm-mm.
from the ones that Stumpy and I casted, where she did use the Morpeko and she was
Mm.
just going ham. It was so interesting to see such a different take on a team operate
Mm.
in that it was so very offensive pressure built. in
Mm-mm.
that like you've got these Pokemon like Morpeko and Shadow Feraligatr and Swampert and Annihilate, like these big. I recorded a video with Mikey Morgs a little bit earlier that will probably
Mm.
be live on YouTube by the time you're hearing this. But he
Mm-mm.
used the term strikers to
Mm.
refer to these sort of like, the guys that are there to, get in there and do a bunch of damage.
Mhm.
And she's just got a team full of strikers. Like it was
Mm.
just really, really cool to see, and sort of cool to see her succeed with it.
Yeah.
And managed to land top 6 in the Brisbane Regionals.
Mhm.
Like, in round 2, she had to take down someone who's been crushing it lately, Jumathy.
Mm.
And had fishy legs round 3 as well. Like
Mhm.
she didn't have an easy run and still
Nope.
did so well with it. So it was
Mhm.
really, really cool to see her succeed with such a unique team. And like
Yeah.
you're listening to the G'day Battlers podcast, you should know that we love a bit of a unique team. That's basically the subtitle line.
Mhm. Mhm. She wins the Spice Award.
Yeah, but Valiant Fish definitely came in with a little bit of, again, it's not necessarily spice. It's just
Mm-mm.
very heavily weighted into the Pokemon that are slightly less meta than the others. So
Mm.
he was running the Claydol, Goodra, Lapras, Pangoro, Talonflame, and Galarian Weezing. And it's like
Mhm.
if any team had one or two of those Pokemon, you'd be like, yeah,
Mhm.
fair
Mhm.
enough. But
Yep.
I think it's the fact that he sort of had all 6 that it just worked a little bit different
Yeah.
and had really good coverage into into everything. And as you sort of alluded to before, Stumpy sort of highlighted the fact that Valiant Fish does not have a single type that
Mm.
is on like 2 Pokemon. So it was like the Psychic Ground on Claydol, Dragon on Goodra, Water
Mhm.
Ice on Lapras, Dark Fighting on Pangoro, Fire Flying on Talonflame, and Poison Fairy on the Galarian Weezing. So it was literally 11 unique typings,
Mhm.
which I sort of mentioned it to Vish afterwards. I was like, man, 11 unique typings. And he was like, yeah, man, like I wanted that good coverage going on. So it was like kind of crazy. And
Yeah.
again, did really, really well. And he only lost to one battler and he lost to him twice. It was a choose.
Mm-mm-mm. Yeah. Look, the whole storyline of Brisbane Regional was basically, well, yes, it's around like Godzilla. He did win. However, it was about Valiant Vish's return of not playing in a regional. We won't count worlds, but hasn't played a regional in like more than a year, and coming back into this and going third. The
Yeah.
fact that it's like, oh yeah, I've been away from the game for a while, busy being a dad, and then a couple of days before going, all right, I'm in. What team do I bring? I'm on Twitter with a blank, phone screen, and yeah, look, he played us all. Who needs an April Fool's joke? This is it.
Yeah, the man has still got it, that's for sure. And
Hmm.
look, there is a reason that when I was like, oh, what do we use as caster swap footage? I was like, Valiant Vish, Alan surprise.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was the just point A, point B, like
Hmm.
slam
Hmm.
dunk. So, yeah, he did really well. It was really fun. Again, I really loved seeing when Valiant Vish and Rick Flareon got mashed up on the bracket. I was like, that's so cool to happen
Hmm.
so deep into the tournament. Like
Yeah.
the third place versus fourth place sort of slot. It's just
Hmm.
really awesome to see.
Yeah.
And Rick played really well as well.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
He
Mm.
went on a pretty solid tear. He did have to go on a little bit of a losers run.
Yeah,
Um,
against Seb Nemo's with
yeah,
his
that's right.
Shadow Grimer, shiny Shadow Grimer.
Yeah, Stumpy and I casted that one, right?
You
With
guys
Ric
did,
Flair and
yeah.
Seb Nemo. And when it came up, because look, a little bit before that, we did see like a Spark Charger Bug sort of come on to the stream,
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
and it was clearly like a bit of a less competitive team.
Yeah.
Which happens when you stream some early losers matches. But
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
when Seb Nemo came on with Shadow Grimer, like if I'm being honest with you, on first glance, I was like,
Mhm.
oh no, we've got another bit of a we've got another bit of a wild one here.
Non-believer, a
This
non-believer.
well, very quickly, like as I sort of I think you'll see this on the cast in that like
Mhm.
pretty quickly, I'm like actually Grimer kind of works. Like now that I think
Mhm.
about it, like you've got that Mudslap coverage, which Mudslap is clearly good. It's why Claydol is running around so much. And you
Mhm.
also have access to Sludge, which is
Mhm.
not only quite fast, but it also does a lot of neutral damage and it gives you some
Mhm.
really nice coverage. So
Mhm.
I very quickly was like, oh no, this actually checks out. This is
Mhm.
and yeah, he ended up taking down Ric Flair on, which was
Yeah.
definitely cool to see, I think.
I
Not
was
for
just
Rick. Sorry, Rick, but it was cool.
I was just really surprised that it won charge attack priority. Because I think a lot of like Seb Nemo's well, I wouldn't say like the turning points it was charge attack priority, and I was
Yeah.
just like that Shadow Grimer just had it. Obviously heavy. I think he even mentioned going like showing his IVs to other people because people were just so curious of just like what is the IVs on that one.
Yeah, Rick apparently said it's pretty close. So
Mm,
yeah, there you go.
there we
It
go.
was kind of cool to see. And there were like
Mm-hmm.
other cool picks as well. I know Freezing Sun, who came in from Canada,
Mm,
he just
mm-hmm.
happened to be in the country.
Yep.
He was running Melmetal, um,
Yes.
which he sort of came up to me and like lovely guy as well. Like everyone that came
Mm.
was absolutely lovely. I didn't have a, everyone was good. I didn't have a
No,
problem
no,
with a
Steve
single
hated
person that came.
everyone. He was about to
Yeah.
bash everyone down.
Oh, yeah. You should hear me complain whenever I was, up in the caster room when it was the mics are off. I was like, man, I am so sick and tired of all of nah. But yeah, Freezing Sun came up to me and was like, oh, look, like I was like, Melmetal, huh? And he was like, yeah, I was running it back at like EYC in February.
Mm.
So like this was pre Might and Mastery season, so he was
Yeah, yeah,
already on the
yeah.
Melmetal train. And then he was
Mm.
like, oh, and then like, I saw your video, like, promoting Melmetal. And I was like, dang, like my strats are out there getting
Mhm.
exposed. And I sort
Mhm.
of joked to him, I was like, funnily enough, you are like post that video, you are coming into the tournament that out of all tournaments in the world,
Mhm.
probably has the highest concentration of people that are likelier to have seen that video. Like you're coming to an Australian regional. So I was like,
Mhm.
sorry, man. I think that people have maybe seen some Melmetal action, but he still did really
Mm.
well. He came top
He did.
12,
Yeah, he
got some
did really
championship
well.
points.
I know that not mentioned here so far, but what I really like to actually see was Agent Magic Cup bought a Registeel.
Yeah. I think we saw one have any success at Stockholm,
Mm-mm-mm.
and so again, I was getting him to tell me all of his strats on the flight. I was like,
Mhm.
fill
Mhm.
me in, and
Yes.
he sort of said he wasn't feeling like crazy confident,
Mm-mm.
going to this one, but like his team made sense, and the
Mhm.
Registeel, I do really like it. Unfortunately, like I kind of feel like the Brisbane meta was a little more aggressive into Registeel than Stockholm may have been. There
Mm.
was a lot more. It felt like there was so much more ground running around to just Pokemon that resisted Registeel.
Yeah.
That it felt a little bit tougher for it. I kind of agreed with him that it was a good read going into it, but maybe on
Mhm.
retrospect, it what wasn't so hot, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But
Mhm. I
still
still
kind
thought it
of
was
cool.
cool.
Yeah, it's still pretty cool.
Mhm.
And of course, Swallow succeeding is still pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
And I guess the only other team that sort of like had some interesting spice that showed some success in the top 16 was
Mm.
Greg from America, aka Fortois,
Mhm.
who was running, again, not crazy, crazy ridiculous, but he was
Yep.
running Spiritomb, which, we
Mhm.
don't see very often outside of youtube.com/Debbie Pebble. But we also saw the Togetic,
Mm.
or Togetic, I feel like you're supposed to say,
Mhm.
um, maybe with
I'm
Fairy
not
Wind,
sure.
Psyshock, Dazzling Gleam. So
Yep.
I hear people say Togetic, Togepi,
Togetic?
Togetic. I don't know.
Togue.
Togetic makes sense to
Only
me.
Togue.
Yeah, only Toge. So
Mhm.
that was pretty cool. And look, this will sort of come into our discussion of Sunday, but one Giraffe Toman did come 17th with a Chansey as well. So makes you think, makes you think.
Mm.
We
Yeah.
talked a lot about that last week.
Oh,
But
look.
yeah, I guess
Yeah.
any other. I mean, like big shout out to Godzilla, of course. Like
Mm.
he did play really nicely, and again didn't drop a game
Yeah.
until he got to the winners finals, which
Absolutely
sort of
loved it.
mirrors
Yep.
Rick Flarion's Perth run a little bit, from 2024. Of
Yeah,
course,
but I
Rick
didn't
didn't
have to.
drop any game till the grand finals. He didn't go on a 5-game losing streak. So like maybe maybe Godzilla was a little more comfy. I don't know.
Look, as I told Rick, when I was making the past champions caster swap, I was like, I had to go through everyone's like previous runs, and I told Rick, I'm like, Rick, you've never had a clean run, hey? He's like, no, it's always a fifth. Like it's always game five. It's always a bracket reset. It's never a clean run. And I was like, yeah, I was going through your history. Yeah, no, never.
Man, rub it in.
Sorry, Rick.
Maybe on a tirade.
I was just like, oh yeah, it was just interesting because in my head I was like, oh, he's such a prolific player. Like it's like, yeah, but actually going into the actual nitty gritty of things, I was like, oh, he's got to fight for every single one. But luckily with that Perth one, I was just like, yeah, that was a story to tell. That was a good one.
That was a good story to tell. He did it for the plot, we can say.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Thanks for the content, Rick.
yeah. So again, we're sort of planning on talking to Godslam next week, but
Hmm.
yeah, I guess that was the Brisbane Regional Championship. So like, shout out
Hmm.
to everyone that was. I guess we like at the very least shout out to everyone that was in the top 8. It's like
Yeah.
Godzlama, Choose, Valiant Vish, Rick Flair, and
Hmm.
Mikey Morgs, Yetaruna, Sammy P, and Jumpy, all
Hmm.
taking out those top 8 points, and of
Hmm.
course, more people. I guess you might. Why not? Top 16 rounding out the championship point game. We had Basha God, Freezing Sun, Z-Tab, Seb Nemo, Beats Boy for the win, who came in from Malaysia, I believe.
Hmm. Hmm.
Fortua, Gone 1001, and They Love Jai all picked up
Hmm.
some points. So a little bit of a leaderboard shakeup.
Yeah,
But
as
shout out. I mean,
expected.
look, Ric Flair is still on top, and he's hit the 1,000 championship point mark, which I think is the first time that anyone from Oceania has hit that milestone. So
Hmm.
he's doing okay.
Yeah, we should get it on a shirt. thousand CP.
Yeah, kind of crazy. But
Mm-mm.
hey, yeah,
We'll see
that's
if
Brisbane
another
Regionals.
person gets 1,000. Is it possible for another person
It,
beyond a
it,
thousand?
it can be done. It can be. It's pretty accomplishable.
Mm.
We'll see how Melbourne goes in May.
Melbourne and then NAIC.
Yeah, and then NAIC. I haven't heard of anyone's plans to attend any regionals outside of those two, Melbourne and NAIC.
Not yet. We'll see.
Not yet. We will see.
Cheeky Bologna trip.
It's been done before. It's been done
Mm.
before.
Mm.
So anyway, we
Mhm.
Brisbane wraps up. We sort of pack up
Yeah.
the stream.
Yep.
Um, I guess shout out number 2 for Taj for helping us carry some
Mm.
stuff back to the hotel room.
Thanks, Taj.
And then we head out for dinner, peek and
Mhm.
whistle. We just sort of hang out with everyone, have a good chat, have a time.
Mhm.
Again, this is sort of the first time that I've turned work mode off.
Mhm.
And yeah, had a good time hanging
Yeah.
out.
Good yarn. And then on to Sunday.
Yeah, so Sunday comes and there is a cup that starts at 9 a.m. Like,
Mhm.
Debbie and I get up, get breakfast, get ready to go.
Mhm. Enter our
And
teams.
yeah, enter our team. So if you haven't tuned into the previous episode in the lead up to Brisbane Regionals, we were both planning on running the exact same team going into this particular cup. That team ringing some bells of Galaxca Bolton. We ran the Galaxca Bolton Chancy team.
We're part of the Galaxca Bolton fan club now. Like honestly,
Yeah.
if he's got a fan club, I want to sign up.
Oh yeah, we are
I
there.
had my watch ready. I was ready to go.
I didn't have a watch. I don't own a watch. So it
should
was
go your
fine. I didn't need
stopwatch.
it. I didn't need it. Yeah, so we gave it a run. How
Mhm.
did your cup run go?
I look. I hadn't played in a while, and let alone that, and also had not been familiar with the team. But I made the team. I made all the correct move sets and everything. I think the only thing I didn't have was a Shadow Sableye, so I actually just used my regular Sableye and TM'd return off, which may kick me later down the track, but that's a later problem, later Debbie problem. We'll refer back to this podcast when that happens, and I went in thinking, going, okay, I need to kind of get familiar with the team, and also I don't know if I'll win anything here, but I will annoy people. And that was my pure goal of just annoyance, just being a pest.
Yeah,
And it was successful.
well done.
So my first matchup was They Love Jai, which I was like, oh, come on now. I fly all the way to Brisbane and I'm
Hmm.
versing Jai, which is a Perth local. And he looks at my team and is like, uh-oh. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's just like, I'm the only fighters on my team. um, and yeah, he too owed me, but it was fine. But he hated it the entire time. He was just like, these ice punches are doing nothing, Debbie. I've thrown 6 at you, and the chance is not even in the yellow. I'm like, yeah.
Hmm.
So that was, Debbie being a pest, number one. Then second match, I get paired against Stumpy, which actually took a game off him. So the first match, he's absolutely hating it. Second match, he loses that match, and he's just like, "Damn, you have to go to game 3 with this."
Hope you're not in a rush.
And there's just me laughing my head off, which probably is the loudest laugh in the room.
Oh yeah, I could hear it
And
from the other end of the table. I was at the
yeah,
top end at this point.
yeah. Steve's all the way over there, and I'm just in the back tables because I've lost round 1. And this is when the ESL photographer comes in and starts snapping up pictures. And this is me probably just like, tears in my eyes, just laughing my head off. So I haven't seen the photos yet. It's yet to come out
No.
on Facebook.
Yeah, I don't
But
think they've uploaded them. I don't
no,
think.
but like when they do come out, I imagine that they're just like hilarious. And then Stumpy takes game 3, but he's recorded all these matches, and it's like 16 minutes of footage by this point. I'm taking up so much memory on his phone.
Yep.
So he's like, I'm gonna send this, I'm gonna upload this. I'm just like, yeah. So we'll see. I think my third match, I end up with Mr. Lay, 97. The one that took out Ishikawa Boy in round 1,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just looked at my team and he was just like chancy, in his Italian accent, and he's like, I play fast pace. This is slow. I was just like, yeah. He's just like, like, just like, why? And he's like, I'm glad you're having fun, because I'm just like cackling, right? And he's just like, uh. And I lost that, which is fine. And then I versed Aglosian, I believe one of your
Mm-hmm.
locals, or like New
Yeah,
South Wales.
Allegosian.
Allegosian. And this is the second time he's seen this team because you versed him earlier.
I did.
So I was just like, and that ended up going to a game 3. So I was like, oh, and I managed to win that one. So I was going 2-2. No, sorry, no, I was at 1-3 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And my last match was against Zanzaid, and Zanzaid's team had a shadow Bastiodon. Or was it just a regular Bastiodon? I can't remember, but it was a Basti, and I knew if it was Basti versus Chansey, I knew I'd lose. So Chansey
Mm-hmm.
did not come out in that entire games, because I was like, no, I'm not setting that up. That's
No stall strat.
no stall strat, because it wouldn't play out well. So use the other mons, the other 5 to choose from. Went very Elche and just be like, nah, benching that one.
Yeah, been there.
I managed to win. So yeah,
Let's
2-3 on
go.
my part. How'd you go?
Yeah, so look, I started off my first round. I think I must have matched. Was I up against Allegosian first round? I feel like I wasn't. But look, my memory's a little hazy, to be honest with you. So I remember playing up against Allegosian and up against his team. I really didn't like the look of Stallstrat. It looked pretty scary. He had he had Malamar with superpower. He had Grumpy with dynamic punch. And so I was like, look, I'm not running stall. I ran the sort of non-stall version of the team. So I ran the Sableye, the Drapion, whatever else was neutral on the team. Maybe I ran Man-Team. And I ended up, getting the 2-0 there. So like, 1-0, happy days. Like, let's go Chansey.
Yep.
And let's just assume this is how it went. I might have things, plus or minus 1 round, but round 2, I go up against Yadaruna. And so I'm like, oh heck, I know how talented she is, and I know how scary her team is, because especially into my team, like our team, I should say, it is such a scary team. It is so devastating. Not only was I sitting there like going like, oh, I knew I should have put a counter user on this team. All I was thinking all morning was like, I need to put a counter user on this team, but I didn't know what to take out. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll just hope I don't regret not having a counter user. I immediately regretted not having a counter user. And so I just, brain activate. And so like, look, I saw you play on stream. I think that you are going to run similar teams to what you were running against Rick against me, because my team is similarly weak to these things. How did Rick beat you in those games? He relied on his Drapion, because Drapion was able to get to his Aquatails in 4 turns, outpace Morpeko, because I don't think we even mentioned it. Yetaruna's Morpeko was running Aura Wheel Seed Bomb, which Seed Bomb takes 5 turns to get to. Aura Wheel takes 5 turns, 10 turns to get to. Aura Wheel is 10 turns to get to. Psychic Fangs is usually its cheap move that only takes that 8 turns. And so Drapion is actually able to outpace it. And so I was like, okay, I just have to chuck a Ric Flair on here. But it wouldn't be enough to chuck a Ric Flair on because my team wasn't balanced enough into Yetaruna's team. Well, I don't know if balance is the right word. Yetaruna's team was just so aggressive that like it wasn't going to be enough. And so I also had to read her team exactly. And so I was like, okay, look, game 1, first Ric Flair, she leads Morpeko. So, okay, let's assume she leads Morpeko. And I predict this, and I'm like, look, I think I brought Mantine. It's like, if you land your Morpeko on my Mantine, this is GG's. We have finished this game. But I read the team, like I predicted it perfectly. And so I was like, win. So I won switch. Like it was going okay. Unfortunately, my team is just too weak and she ends up beating me. Again, I'm not running stall strats here. I'm like, I need to somehow get a win here. And so I lose game 1. Game 2, I go, look, actually, maybe I won game 1. I think I might have game 1. No, actually, I lost game 1. So game 2, I'm like, look, how did you adjust? When you went into game 2 against Ric Flair, you moved the Morpeko from the lead. You were like, you are the type of player that doesn't want to run the same thing yet again and again and again. You're going to bring Morpeko because it's so strong into my team, but you are going to move it from the lead. So I'm like, okay. And so again, I made a big prediction. I was like, this will be a lead. These will be a 2 in the back. I'll lead this. You'll go to this. Okay. Picture perfect. Just like the simulations. Goes exactly how I sort of planned it. And this time, it does go well for me. And I actually get the Dubsky. And so I'm sitting there like, cool. And so like I'm sitting here, game 3 into Yetaruna. Again, I was expecting to get crushed. But the fact that I've like hard team read 2 games in a row, I'm like, okay, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do this. And so I make another hard team read. I get it right again. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's cracked. But yeah, the team was too weak and I still lost. It was so close. Actually, no, game three, I run stall for the first time. I'm like, I don't know exactly how this is going to go. I'm going to try it though.
Yeah.
And it's playing around. And because I make the perfect team reads, it is actually looking really good for me. It's like, oh my gosh, like I'm actually going to win this game.
Yeah. I got
like,
this. I got this.
This is crazy. It's like, Pokemon in the back. Like I had my Chansey into an Ariados and it was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. And then the time is up. I have more HP right now. Once this time is gone, I'm good. And with 4 seconds left on the timer, she gets to a move with her Alolan Sandslash that brings my Chansey low enough that she all of a sudden has enough HP. And it's like, 4 more seconds. So close. But yeah, look, she played really well. Even like she was in sort of the worst possible position in that I read her teams perfectly, all 3. And but she played really well and she just she took the Dubsky, unfortunately. But I'm not gonna lie to you, Debbie, I felt so good going off those games. I was like, I went into this match expecting to get crushed. I did so well. I'm like, heck yeah, dude. So that was a major win for me, to be honest. I think we both got what we wanted. Best outcome for all parties involved. So and cool to run stall. Almost get the win as well.
Yeah.
But round 3, I run stall regularly and I actually get the Dubsky. Get some timeout strats against Bragio, I think. And it all worked out pretty nicely there. And then rounds 4 and 5, I ended up losing, but I'm not too stressed. So I went 2-3 as well. Only lost the 3-2 by 4 seconds, which is so awesome. Again, I was pretty proud. But I had a lot of fun, to be honest with you. Running, it is the most fun I've had going 2-3 ever.
Like I mentioned earlier, it was just, I could not stop laughing the entire time. And it was a long cup. It wasn't like a short cup. Like getting through 5 rounds and then not top cutting and then the top cut still going. It was great. And like you said, I got what I wanted out of it. So, because I wasn't going to say like maybe not you, but like I wasn't going to get top 8. We're not top cutting with a Chansey.
The only way that I was going to top 8 is if I luck out, get the 3-2, and my tiebreak is good. That's like all I was relying on. And to be honest with you, again, when I like got Yetaruna as an opponent, I was like, my tiebreak is going to be so good.
Yeah.
That's all that was going through my head. I was like, hey, I'm going to lose, but I'm going to lose with points, baby. But yeah, it didn't work out that way, but still, a really good time. And very like so glad that I ran Chansey in that cup.
Yeah. Same. I mean, like, look, those 4 seconds or perhaps 4% was the difference between your score and my score. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Lay it up,
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
on
yeah.
the final standings, who came out on top? I think I was 15th. Do you remember who came 14th?
Yeah. I think they said your name first because they were going from bottom up.
Yep,
So
they
yeah,
did.
then they,
And
yeah.
then,
Then it was my name.
oh, well
I
done,
swear I
well
got the
done.
biggest applause. Come on now.
Well
Uh,
done.
Thanks.
4
Like,
seconds, man. 4
yep,
seconds.
yep. Look, it's just unfortunate with percentages. I think I have to thank
Oh,
Jai, or was it Zanzade? I don't know.
either way.
Mm-mm,
Yeah, probably Jai, I think.
mm-mm.
Jai got pretty good tiebreaker, so
Yeah.
yeah. Shout
Yep.
out Jai. Or like, heck you, Jai. That was my 14th place.
What I felt
Uh,
really bad for was Agent Magikarp because he got 9th.
oh. Yeah, Debbie
So
sort of tanked Agent Magikarp's, tiebreaker. So
me.
yeah. So if it wasn't for her, Agent Magikarp would have
Hmm.
been top 8 and getting points, but
Yeah, and not Ric
she,
Flareon in the 8th spot.
yeah, which everyone was like, "Oh, Ric Flair, come on, you don't need the points.
Yeah,
What are you doing in
boo.
there?" Boo. I definitely booed. Like 100%.
I think I did hear you booing behind me. I was like, ah. Because Agent
Yeah.
Magicup's like, oh.
What?
This Rick
Uh,
guy.
yeah, pretty funny,
Mm.
but a fun cup for sure. And then
Yeah.
I guess our only other activity on that Sunday was we did a pack battle as well, which
Yeah, pack battle. I hadn't done one before, so that was pretty
no,
cool.
yeah, new
We had
concept. It was fun.
we had Maddie TCG. She's I believe a seniors player, and just kind of like show us the ropes and also annihilate Steve in the pack battle.
It wasn't fair. I was in such a good spot.
He got annihilated.
I did get annihilated.
Hmm.
But yeah, rogue concept. But
Hmm.
again, this is a Pokemon Go podcast, so like we don't have to talk about
Yeah.
it too much. But
Hmm.
not most of us had never done a pack battle in our lives,
Mm.
but I really liked it, and I'm really keen to do more. It was
Yeah,
really fun.
yeah. I had to do 3 rounds with Taj, so with the same pack. I was like, all right, okay, let's keep going. But I ended up pulling a Hydreigon EX, so I think I was like, sorry, dude. I mean, he did take me out in game 2, but he had a Flappin that did really well against my team. Anyway, but yeah, that was pack battles, and then we just got lunch. After that,
Yeah,
we went to #burgers, which had very interesting names for their burgers.
one way to put it.
Um, yeah,
Provocative.
interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, we got lunch. We
Mm-mm.
hung out with everyone, and then it was
Mhm.
pretty much go time from there. We headed
Mhm.
to the airport.
Yeah.
Luggage wasn't forgotten this time, so
No.
big win.
Luggage was arrived at. Oh yeah, I suppose the part here is that I didn't go back to Perth.
What? But
I
you're in
went.
Perth right now.
I am in Perth right now. I went to Newcastle for a couple of days.
Wow.
So
On the same flight as Agent Magikarp.
yep,
Ridiculous.
yep, and
What the heck,
yourself.
guys?
Asian Magic
Oh,
Cups is everywhere.
yeah. Shout out again. Thanks for saving the stream.
Yep, saving the stream and also taking us back to our accommodation. So
Yeah, true. He gave us a lift from the airport back. So
mm-mm.
like massive
saw
shout out to Agent
saw
Magikarp.
saw the Newcastle airport car park. That's the first thing I see of Newcastle. It was a bit of a rough landing though in Newcastle. It's quite foggy,
Yeah.
and
And let's not put it on Newcastle, okay?
no,
That's
it was in
that's the
Newcastle.
roughest landing
Okay,
I've ever had. That's
it's just like maybe that's why it's so mysterious. It's got all this fog around it, like. It's just one of the hidden islands or something like that. It's like, oh, I've seen this in a movie.
nah. It was a very Twilight Zone sort of
Mm-mm.
yeah. It was a surprisingly rough landing. I was like, oh.
Mm. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
But we got there in the
We
end, and
did.
so we explored Newcastle, showed Debbie
Mhm.
all of the things.
Yeah.
We went to Blackbutt Reserve, which is like
Mhm.
they've got a bunch of
Nature
Australian animals
reserve.
there.
Yeah.
We watched a wombat for 45 minutes.
Oh, I love wombats.
We just watched her eat and eat and eat,
Mhm.
and beg the groundskeepers for more food, like a dog scratching up against a wall. Except
Mhm.
it was real. Obviously wombats are pretty heavy, so like it would go beep 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 beep, beep and then like land like with a massive thud, and then
Yep.
go beep 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 beep, beep thud. So
Mhm.
it was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah.
Um,
Shout out Sally the wombat.
Shout out Sally the wombat, and
Mhm.
we've got some B-roll footage. Maybe it shows up in a future stream or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
Better to have and not need than need and not have. So I was
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
we'll grab it in case.
Yep. Yep. But yeah, that was really cool. Just to hang out, look at some birds, look at some wildlife, and then then we drove past the KFC.
Yep. Drove past the drive-through KFC.
Mhm.
Didn't go
Mhm.
there.
No. Uh,
Got
drove
the,
to the city, then realized we're not going to city, and then drove out of the city.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Look, we got our sights in.
Yep. Yep.
And
Mhm.
when and visited Zoe.
Mhm.
Um, gave her massive congratulations for such a successful video in the Brisbane Regional Championship stream.
Yes. Yes. Mhm.
Nothing else.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we streamed, but
We did stream on Monday night. Was it Monday night now? Yeah, it was
yeah,
Monday night.
yeah, Monday
Yeah.
night. But
Yep. 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 Yep.
yeah,
Cleaning stream. Yep.
that's kind of it. Those are kind of the Newcastle
Yeah.
highlights, I guess. I don't know. What was your
Mhm.
take on Newcastle after eating so much Perth slander all this time?
Hey, look, like I like Newcastle. Newcastle's actually kind of like
Mm.
I did like it. Like, am I glad I'm home? Yes.
I see.
Mm. But did I
But
like
hey,
Newcastle? I did.
positive review. We'll take it.
Mm-mm. I mean, like we drove past the swamp
We
and
did.
went through some forestry and the coal mine,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
dinosaur
coal
bridge.
processing,
Yeah,
coal port.
yeah.
The mine isn't quite that close, but
Mm-mm.
yeah.
Yeah, the dinosaur bridge.
Mm.
Um, yeah, we went through. There was a couple of parks we walked past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really took in it all.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
shout out Newey. And
We
yeah.
made an April Fool's post.
Yeah, that's right. That did get a lot of likes. Those,
There was
uh,
a few DMs of congratulations, you're moving to Newcastle. And I'm like, dude, look at the date.
yeah, Debbie out there bamboozling folks.
I love Mr. Glass's response of like, just basically, I trusted you. I was like,
Yeah,
oh.
it's pretty good. I had a few
Mm.
Americans message me and be like, what the heck? It's not fair because it's not April 1st yet in our time zone. It's like,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
guys. I couldn't care less.
Yeah, 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 exactly right.
This is how every year goes. You need to understand.
Mhm, mhm. I'm gonna stay up to put up a post in your time zone just for your convenience.
Yeah, deal with us for a change. Come on now.
Mhm,
We have
mhm,
to spend April 2nd as if it's April Fool's Day. It's ridiculous.
mhm,
Um, but yeah,
mhm.
anyway, then shot Debbie off home, and that was Brisbane
Bye.
Regional Championships.
Yep. Then I
So
went to Melbourne yet again to get another chai latte and an almond croissant.
yeah, important stuff.
Mhm.
So
Then flew home,
um,
got home Tuesday night, back to work
yeah,
Friday. Not Friday, Wednesday. Gosh.
yeah, that's right. So
Mhm.
again, thanks Debbie,
Mhm.
thanks Fish, thanks Stumpy for all coming on and casting. Because I really do think the stream went really well.
Mm.
And shout out to Miss Mystic as well for
Thanks,
facilitating that
PvP
happening.
Steve, for doing everything in the background, the leader of the
Yeah,
pack, just running
yeah.
everything. Yeah, yeah, I know you hate this bit. This is why I didn't go on too far. I wanted to write a whole tweet on it, then I'm like, nah, you're going to hate this, so I didn't do it. Be thankful.
Yeah, that would have been yucky. I don't need that much positive feedback. That's that's fine. Just tell me the stream was good and I'll nod and go thanks. But I know it was good. Like
Yeah,
this time,
yeah,
like
yeah.
I've been happy enough with streams in the past, but I really came out of this one going like, this is the best we've done by some
Agree.
distance.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Bigger,
I was
better.
very proud of this one. So look, we mentioned it on stream as well, but we're sort of, I think I'm just going to be running under the assumption like that Melbourne is going to be streamed. Because last time it was like, every time we'd be like, oh, if Brisbane is streamed, and we, no confirmation yet. We're sort of at the point that I think that I'm just going to assume that it's real. So we're just like on this podcast, we're just going to talk about it as if there is a Melbourne stream, I think.
Yeah.
And I guess it'll just be if we get if it gets shut down or it gets rejected, that point will sort of, that's when we'll walk it back. So
yeah.
We'll just assume that there's a stream.
Yep. Melbourne in May.
Melbourne in May. So stay tuned. It's only like 6 weeks away. So
gosh. Yeah.
I've got some work to do. It's time to set up a whole new suite of caster swap videos. So, shoot me a DM if you've got any ideas or if you want to contribute in any way. Let me know.
Yeah. More seated interviews in the future.
Or maybe a tripod. We'll see.
I still thought it was funny.
Hey, to be fair, I thought that the seated interview shot looked really nice.
Oh yeah, the seated interview shot was great, but I still thought it was funny with the other ones. Where I'm just like, hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got there in the end. So yeah, congratulations, Godslam, for winning. Talk to you next week.
We will.
And I guess the only thing left to hit is the YouTube comments, right?
Yeah. Let's get into it. So
cool. So
episode 42.
7 days ago. From Hawk Aussie, we had, man, how dare you say that you're not a Disney fan? So we need you to watch a Disney movie then. I watch all the Disney movies, to be fair. I watch them all.
He's talking about me.
I don't remember what was said, but I wouldn't have said that I'm a... Oh, yeah,
I said that, like, might be controversial. I'm not a Disney fan and that I'm not going to Disneyland when we're in Anaheim or anything Disney orientated because I'm just like, Disney's okay.
Yeah, you didn't grow up watching the movies, so like that's...
I watched some.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just okay with it. So yeah. Anyway, apparently I need to watch movies, but getting me to watch movies is like, I'm not going to use any analogy here. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I've tried. Comment from Emma. Comment for the YouTube algorithm. Whilst it was a given you would be attending Worlds again, still insanely excited to see the announcements. Super gassed to see what you guys get up to. And yes, Steve, line up the new backpack. It sounds like a tradition at this point. True. And we all know the rules about tradition in this house. Yeah, I'm just going to need it in case this one breaks as well.
Yeah.
Fully agreed, Debbie. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I said that's if we get into the Pokemon Center.
True. We'll see. Fully agree, Debbie. How do we support the extra Pokemon Center budget and the luggage allowance? Patreon. Well, maybe no need. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But official comment reminder about the Starmie for the tree. So we've still got a few, like 4 months away, 4 and a bit months till Worlds. So we've got some time that we need to remember it. So we'll see. Thanks to the... Whoa! I accidentally played the stream at really loud volume. But last comment on the episode, and this was only 5 episodes, from T. Wastel. Yeah, I think Ghost and Dark are too strong for Grumpig to see much play right now. But I think that if anyone succeeds with it, they probably wouldn't be running Lapras. Plenty of successful teams without Lap anyway, and like you say, double Psywave probably isn't the best to run. And yeah, 100% agree on that front. And we saw Grumpig succeed in the India qualifiers. I just don't know if we'll see it succeed further from that, I guess.
Yeah.
But Tristan continues. I think Swallow caught on because SS Thorn did so well with it in the Haydonis Inadequates practice tourney. And that is something that, like, I repeated constantly on stream in the Brisbane stream. I think it's knowledge that I must have picked up after we recorded last week's episode, maybe. Because, yeah, I definitely said it a ton.
You did. But it was more like, oh, yeah, that's right, when you said it. And even though you repeated it, I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes you've got to repeat stuff on streams because, like, not everyone, and I would actually say most people are not watching the full 9-hour broadcast in that one sitting. So I think it's actually
especially
well worth
live.
repeating some
Mhm.
stuff. Yeah, live is just like, non-live people are more inclined to watch a
Mm-mm.
large chunk of it, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no.
worth repeating some stuff sometimes.
Mhm, mhm,
But he continued, and I think it might have done well in Dez's tournament in the next day too, if I recall correctly.
mm,
Swirlet plus Guzzler would form a pretty good core too. And yeah, that's
agreed.
right. It did like from SS Dawn using it and succeeding, it picked up pretty quickly, I think, as I was sort
Mhm,
of looking back. And obviously by the time it hit Stockholm, it was at over 20% usage, like day one usage, not even successful usage. So it
mm-mm,
definitely picked up some steam pretty quick from those practice tournaments as well. So SS Dawn is sort of like the guy responsible, I guess,
mhm,
in a sense. So shout out him. And
mhm.
yeah, that's the YouTube comments for the week. So if you got anything to say about this week's episode, anything you want us to address, any questions or the rest, you can leave it in the comments down below.
Yeah.
We probably won't get to it in next week's episode. We
Mm,
probably won't talk about it, while God's Llama is here, but
mhm.
we'll, get back to it and talk about it in the episode after that. So
Yep.
um, yeah, and
Mhm.
again, also feel free to drop some feedback about the Brisbane Regional stream as well.
Oh, yes.
I know that I've said it plenty on Twitter and everywhere else, but
Mhm,
I'm in improvement mindset at the moment, and so
mhm.
really looking to improve
Should
the
we
Melbourne
drop
Regional
that
stream.
Google Google survey down in the links,
Yeah,
perhaps?
yeah, we'll
Yeah.
have that link in the description down
Mhm,
below as well. There's a little
mhm,
Google form. It's literally like a 2-questioner, one optional if you want to put your name there in
mhm,
case I can send you a message.
mhm.
Or the only other thing is just open box, leave whatever
Yep,
feedback you want, what went
yep,
well, what went
yep.
poorly, what you think could be improved, whether
Mhm,
you think my casting was absolutely sucking and should be kicked off the broadcast, like anything, everything, like put it in that feedback form.
mhm.
Um, and I'll read it all, and
Yep.
we'll see what we can do.
I will
Um,
take all compliments on my Ditto outfit.
You got a few.
Mm.
I don't know if you've read through the Twitch chat, but when I because obviously, like when you're on stream, you're not seeing Twitch chat.
Mm-mm.
But at some point, I looked at Twitch chat and I was
Mhm.
like, yeah, there was a lot of positive comments about your outfit, so they kept
Yay.
coming. So shout out. I didn't see any comments about my. It was so boring. It was a Superman.
A
Not
side
even
up
a hair and
pin.
makeup team this time. But yeah, pretty cool. And I guess
Mhm,
I didn't really talk about it before, but like I also was I guess this is just the place to put it. This is just, thought
mm-mm,
to mouth sort of territory.
mhm.
I was pretty happy with my casting for the most part as well. I think it's the
Mm,
best cast that I've ever done.
mm.
Um, obviously, there's some bits where it's like, still warming up, but
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
by the end, I was like, heck yeah, man! I was
Yeah.
really happy. I was happy with every part of the stream. I was happy with the
Mm-mm-mm.
production, the graphics, the swap, the caster swaps, the casting. I
Yeah.
very happy with the whole thing. So
Mm-mm-mm.
very
Agree.
cool.
Yeah, definitely. Like that's why I was just like, again, film that last bit because of the grand finals because I'm just like, okay, you need to watch what I'm seeing. Because yeah, it was pretty sick to watch you both be so excited and so engrossed. I was like, yeah, this is worth recording.
It was cool. I also
It
get how
was.
people lose their voice casting now.
Yeah. That's why I was heavy with the Vicks vapor drops. I was just like, all right, we're gonna have these here. We're gonna have water bottles. We're gonna have this. Like, we're gonna have like, yeah. I know maybe it wasn't on your priority list, but it was definitely on mine.
Yeah. I didn't indulge as much as I wanted to. But
hmm It was
yeah.
there.
Yeah. Well, part of it was like if it wasn't in that immediate like 2-minute caster swap window, then like
Mhm.
I was too afraid to make any noise at all.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
was like, I'm not
hmm
dipping in. But yeah, all
hmm
worked out. So
It
anyway,
did.
we'll catch you in the next episode when we should be talking to Godzilla. Let us know if you've
Yep.
got any questions for him as well. We can potentially
Yeah.
pass those on.
True.
And shout out Anne Emma for being the one and only Patreon of the podcast. So thank you for
Thank
supporting this.
you.
And I guess I know this we've actually broken the trend a little bit in that we've
Mhm.
been doing weekly for a few weeks now. Don't expect this going forward. We will be going back to fortnightly very soon. I mean, like
hmm
we might have Gonzalama next week and extends the weekly thing a bit longer,
Yep.
but like
Yep.
again, don't expect it. This is
No.
not normal.
No.
We will take it 2 weeks between talking to Gonzalama and whenever the next one is. So
hmm
stay tuned for all that and subscribe to at G'day Battlers and all the things,
hmm
especially the YouTube if you can.
Yeah.
And yeah, final words, Deborah.
See you next week.
See you next week. All right,
Aw.
bye.
Kicks me out of Newcastle. This is what I get now. He's sick.
Okay.
He's sick of me.
Oh, sorry. Hang on. See you next week, Debbie. Bye.
That was awful. I'm just doing this for the thumbnail now.
Ah.